Remember words by reading essays. The Rise and Fall of Mr. Carter.
Good morning. We're going to study an article titled The Rise and Fall of Mr. Carter. Please listen carefully as I play the full passage once from beginning to end to get a general understanding of the story.
Jake Carter had always been the picture of health, staying in good nick thanks to his morning runs and balanced diet. But after inheriting a fortune from a wealthy aunt in Florida, he morphed into a classic upstart, splurging on luxury cars, designer watches, and even a beachfront mansion in Malibu. At first, his real estate company grew fast, but soon sales began to plateau. Jake ignored the signs, choosing to keep it under wraps and reassure investors that everything was solid. Behind the scene, however, the company's financial underbelly was being eaten away by reckless spending and questionable loans. Then came the blow, a leaked report laid bare, a series of dastardly and grubby deals with known sleaze brokers. Overnight, investor confidence plummeted, and the stock price began to tumble, shorn of credibility much like a mayor sheared of his office. Jake found himself dogged by lawsuits and federal investigations. The media branded him an abject disgrace, and former colleagues called him an irascible, tetchy, stroppy boss who would get riled by the smallest criticism. Ex-employees grumbled about his arrogance. Others bemoaned the loss of their pensions, and a few still griped about years of unpaid overtime. Drowning in stress, Jake started binging on steak dinners, whiskey, and late-night poker games. He surrounded himself with hired goons for security, which only made him look more desperate. Even so, he insisted to his dwindling circle of friends that it was all part of some overarching conspiracy to take him down. But everyone else could see the truth. His collapse wasn't caused by shadowy enemies, but by his own grubby decisions, dastardly tactics, and inability to control his testy temper. In the end, the man who once took pride in being in good nick sat alone in a shabby Las Vegas apartment, broke, friendless, and forced to face a reality that his empire and his reputation had tumbled beyond repair.
Now, we will listen to the passage again. This time, I will pause at key points to explain important vocabulary and phrases. So please follow along and pay attention to how they are used in context.
Jake Carter had always been the picture of health, staying in good nick thanks to his morning runs and balanced diet.
In the text, the word nick appears in the phrase in good nick, which means being in good condition or in good shape, especially about health or physical state. It suggests that something is well-maintained and functioning properly.
So, does in good nick only refer to people?
Not necessarily. It can describe both people and objects, like a car or a building, when they are in good condition.
Is it the same as saying, in good shape?
Yes, that's right. In good shape and in good nick carry the same idea. But nick is more commonly used in British English.
But after inheriting a fortune from a wealthy aunt in Florida, he morphed into a classic upstart.
In the text, the word upstart refers to someone who has recently gained wealth, power, or status and is often seen as arrogant or overly confident. It carries a slightly negative tone, suggesting that the person may be acting above their experience or background.
Does upstart always mean a rich person?
Not always. It can describe anyone who suddenly rises in status and behaves as if they are superior to others.
Is it a positive word?
Usually, no. It often implies criticism, suggesting the person is newly successful but lacks humility or proper experience.
Splurging on luxury cars, designer watches, and even a beachfront mansion in Malibu. At first, his real estate company grew fast, but soon sales began to plateau.
In the text, the word plateau means a period where growth or progress slows down and stays at the same level after a period of increase. It suggests that something has stopped improving and has reached a stable point.
Does plateau only describe business situations?
No. It can describe many areas, such as fitness progress, learning, or sales, whenever improvement levels off.
Is a plateau always a bad thing?
Not always. It can be neutral, but in many contexts, it implies that growth has stalled and may need new effort to continue progressing.
Jake ignored the signs, choosing to keep it under wraps and reassure investors that everything was solid.
In the text, the phrase keep it under wraps means to keep something secret or not reveal it to others. It suggests that information is being deliberately hidden from public knowledge.
Does it only refer to secrets in serious situations?
Not necessarily. It can be used in everyday situations whenever someone wants to keep information private for any reason.
Is it similar to saying, keep it secret?
Yes. It has a very similar meaning, emphasizing that the information should not be shared or exposed.
Behind the scene, however, the company's financial underbelly was being eaten away by reckless spending and questionable loans.
In the text, the word underbelly refers to the hidden or vulnerable part of something, often used to describe the weak or negative side of a system, organization, or situation. It suggests problems that are not immediately visible on the surface.
Does underbelly only describe physical parts?
No. It is mostly used figuratively to talk about hidden problems or weaknesses rather than something physical.
Is it always negative?
Yes. It usually carries a negative meaning, pointing to issues, corruption, or flaws that lie beneath the surface.
Then came the blow, a leaked report laid bare.
In the text, the phrase laid bare means to reveal something completely and openly, especially something that was hidden or not obvious before. It suggests that all details are exposed for everyone to see.
Does it mean to physically lay something down?
Not here. It is used figuratively to mean exposing information, not placing something physically on a surface.
Is it similar to exposed?
Yes. It is very similar to exposed, highlighting that secrets, faults, or truths have been uncovered.
A series of dastardly and grubby deals.
In the text, dastardly describes actions that are very wicked, cruel, or sneaky, often involving deceit or betrayal. Grubby refers to something dirty, morally or physically unclean, suggesting questionable or dishonest behavior.
Does dastardly always describe actions?
Yes. It is usually used to describe actions or behavior that are considered extremely immoral or underhanded.
Can grubby be used for physical dirt as well?
Yes. It can describe something physically dirty, but in the text it also points to unethical or shady dealings.
With known sleaze brokers.
In the text, sleaze refers to behavior or people that are dishonest, corrupt, or morally unpleasant. It is often used to describe shady dealings or individuals who lack integrity.
Is sleaze a person or a thing?
It can refer to a type of person, but also to behavior or situations that are considered morally dirty or corrupt.
Does it have a strong negative meaning?
Yes. It carries a very negative meaning, suggesting unethical actions and a lack of respectability.
Overnight, investor confidence plummeted.
In the text, plummeted means to fall or drop very quickly and sharply, usually referring to numbers like prices, confidence, or levels. It suggests a sudden and dramatic decline.
Is plummeted used only for physical falling?
No. It is often used figuratively to describe things like stock prices, ratings, or confidence dropping rapidly.
Is it stronger than just fell?
Yes. Plummeted implies a much faster and more severe drop than simply saying fell.
And the stock price began to tumble.
In the text, the phrase to tumble means to fall suddenly and in an uncontrolled way, often suggesting a steady decline over time, especially in values like prices or status. It gives the idea of something dropping and losing stability.
Is tumble always about falling physically?
No. It can describe both physical falling and figurative declines, such as a company's performance or reputation going down.
How is it different from plummet?
Plummet suggests a very sharp and sudden drop, while tumble can be a bit more gradual but still indicates a noticeable downward movement.
Shorn of credibility, much like a mayor sheared of his office.
In the text, sheared comes from the idea of cutting or stripping something off, and it is used metaphorically to mean being stripped of something important, like power or credibility. It suggests that something has been removed suddenly, leaving a loss.
Does sheared only refer to cutting hair or wool?
Yes. Literally, it refers to cutting wool from sheep or cutting hair. But here it is used figuratively to show loss.
Is it similar to being stripped?
Yes. It is very similar, emphasizing that something has been taken away, often leaving a weakened or reduced state.
Jake found himself dogged by lawsuits and federal investigations.
In the text, the phrase dogged by means being constantly followed or troubled by problems, difficulties, or negative situations. It suggests persistent issues that do not go away easily.
Does dogged by mean being chased by a dog?
No. It is a figurative expression, meaning being continually troubled or followed by something negative, not a real animal.
Is it similar to haunted by?
Yes. It has a similar meaning. But dogged by emphasizes ongoing pressure or repeated problems rather than just memories.
The media branded him an abject disgrace.
In the text, abject describes something that is extremely bad, severe, or complete, often used with negative situations like failure, misery, or disgrace. It emphasizes a very low or hopeless state.
Does abject only describe people?
No. It can describe situations, conditions, or feelings, such as abject failure or abject poverty.
Is it a strong word?
Yes. It is a very strong word that highlights the extreme and total nature of something negative.
And former colleagues called him an irascible, tetchy, stroppy boss.
In the text, irascible, tetchy, and stroppy all describe someone who is easily annoyed or quick to anger. Irascible suggests a person who is naturally bad-tempered and easily provoked. Tetchy means being easily irritated, often over small things. Stroppy also means being bad-tempered and argumentative, especially in a stubborn way.
Are these words exactly the same?
They are similar, but irascible is a general tendency to get angry. while touchy and stroppy focus more on short-tempered or irritable behavior in specific moments.
Is stroppy stronger than the others?
It can be, as it often suggests not only irritability, but also a refusal to cooperate, making the person seem more difficult to deal with.
Who would get riled by the smallest criticism?
In the text, the phrase get riled by means to become upset, annoyed, or angry because of something. It suggests a reaction where a person is provoked or easily irritated by certain comments or actions.
Does get riled always mean strong anger?
Not always. It can range from mild irritation to stronger anger, depending on the situation and context.
Is it similar to get angry?
Yes, it is similar. But get riled by often emphasizes being triggered or provoked by something specific.
Ex-employees grumbled about his arrogance.
In the text, the phrase grumbled about means to complain in a quiet, often negative or unhappy way, usually without openly expressing strong anger. It suggests low, continuous complaining about something unpleasant.
Is grumbled a loud complaint?
No. It is usually quiet and muttered, not a loud or direct complaint.
Is it the same as complained?
It is similar, but grumbled often sounds more informal and suggests mild, ongoing dissatisfaction rather than a formal complaint.
Others bemoaned the loss of their pensions.
In the text, the word bemoaned means to express deep sadness, disappointment, or regret about something, often in a complaining or sorrowful way. It suggests a strong feeling of loss or unhappiness.
Is bemoaned stronger than complained?
Yes. It usually carries a stronger emotional tone, focusing on regret or sadness rather than simple complaint.
Can it be used for both people and situations?
Yes. It can describe people expressing regret, or the act of lamenting a situation or outcome.
And a few still griped about years of unpaid overtime.
In the text, the phrase griped about means to complain repeatedly, often in an annoyed or negative way. It suggests ongoing dissatisfaction, where someone keeps talking about what they don't like.
Is griped about the same as complained?
It is similar, but griped about often implies repeated or habitual complaining, sometimes in a more informal tone.
Does it sound strong?
It is less intense than serious complaints, but it still carries a clear sense of irritation and frustration.
Drowning in stress, Jake started binging on steak dinners, whiskey, and late-night poker games.
In the text, the word binging means doing something excessively or in an uncontrolled way, often for pleasure, like eating, drinking, or playing games. It suggests overindulgence beyond normal limits.
Can binging be used for activities other than eating?
Yes. It can describe any activity done excessively, like watching TV, gambling, or drinking alcohol.
Does it have a negative meaning?
Usually, yes. It implies a lack of control and often leads to negative consequences.
He surrounded himself with hired goons for security, which only made him look more desperate.
In the text, the word goons refers to rough, intimidating people who are often hired to use force, threaten others, or provide aggressive protection. It suggests a group that may act in a threatening or violent way.
Are goons like bodyguards?
Not exactly. While both may provide protection, goons implies aggressive or illegal behavior, not professional or lawful security.
Is it a positive word?
No. It has a negative meaning, suggesting intimidation, force, and a lack of ethical behavior.
Even so, he insisted to his dwindling circle of friends that it was all part of some overarching conspiracy to take him down.
In the text, the word overarching means something that covers or includes everything else, acting as the main or most important idea that connects all parts together. It suggests a broad, unifying concept that holds different elements under one framework.
Does overarching mean the same as important?
It is related, but overarching specifically emphasizes that it covers or controls many parts, not just that it is important.
Can it describe ideas or plans?
Yes. It is often used to describe general ideas, themes, or plans that organize and guide smaller details.
But everyone else could see the truth. His collapse wasn't caused by shadowy enemies, but by his own grubby decisions, dastardly tactics, and inability to control his testy temper.
In the text, the word testy describes someone who is easily annoyed or quick to show irritation, especially in response to small things. It suggests a short temper and a readiness to react angrily.
Is testy a strong word?
It is moderately strong, indicating noticeable irritability, but not extreme anger or rage.
Is it similar to tetchy?
Yes, they're very similar, both describing someone who gets annoyed easily, though testy can sometimes sound a bit sharper or more reactive.
In the end, the man who once took pride in being in good nick sat alone in a shabby Las Vegas apartment, broke, friendless, and forced to face a reality that his empire and his reputation had tumbled beyond repair.
Next, we will listen to the entire passage one more time without interruption. Try to consolidate your understanding and notice how the words and expressions fit together in the full narrative.
Jake Carter had always been the picture of health, staying in good nick thanks to his morning runs and balanced diet. But after inheriting a fortune from a wealthy aunt in Florida, he morphed into a classic upstart, splurging on luxury cars, designer watches, and even a beachfront mansion in Malibu. At first, his real estate company grew fast, but soon sales began to plateau. Jake ignored the signs, choosing to keep it under wraps and reassure investors that everything was solid. Behind the scene, however, the company's financial underbelly was being eaten away by reckless spending and questionable loans. Then came the blow, a leaked report laid bare, a series of dastardly and grubby deals with known sleaze brokers. Overnight, investor confidence plummeted, and the stock price began to tumble, shorn of credibility much like a mayor sheared of his office. Jake found himself dogged by lawsuits and federal investigations. The media branded him an abject disgrace, and former colleagues called him an irascible, tetchy, stroppy boss who would get riled by the smallest criticism. Ex-employees grumbled about his arrogance. Others bemoaned the loss of their pensions, and a few still griped about years of unpaid overtime. Drowning in stress, Jake started binging on steak dinners, whiskey, and late-night poker games. He surrounded himself with hired goons for security, which only made him look more desperate. Even so, he insisted to his dwindling circle of friends that it was all part of some overarching conspiracy to take him down. But everyone else could see the truth. His collapse wasn't caused by shadowy enemies, but by his own grubby decisions, dastardly tactics, and inability to control his testy temper. In the end, the man who once took pride in being in good nick sat alone in a shabby Las Vegas apartment, broke, friendless, and forced to face a reality that his empire and his reputation had tumbled beyond repair.
That brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for your attention. And I hope this session has helped you better understand the text and its key language points.